Oh, it's hot. It's hot, hot. What do I mention your mom? She's an attractive woman. Who cares? That's fair. She's not the only person I fantasize about. But I guess my recurring fantasy this week, because I go on a cycle. Sometimes it's your mom, sometimes it's famous people. It's Angelina Jolie. I'm at like a market, like Sprouts or something, some like organic market, and she kind of like, I can tell that it's her under her mask. I'm not wearing one because I roll like that, but she is, and she's sort of eye fucking me, just like almost like very angry that I'm not wearing a mask. And one of her Asian kids is there in the hall, and he's like practicing with his nunchucks or something, and she's like, "Excuse me, why aren't you wearing a mask?" I'm like, well, I guess I better do what Acid Burn tells me. I don't want to get spanked. And then I keep walking. Acid Burn is her name from Hackers. Remember the Acid Burn? Crash Overrides. Is that Jonathan Rhys-Meyers? Some British guy. The guy from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. No, that's not it. Train Spotting. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Johnny Lee Myers. Johnny Lee Gifford. Kathy Lee Gifford. Something. Johnny Mnemonic. Some name. I don't know. But that would be my thing. That's how I'd get her. Welcome to the BenBen Show, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good day. This new coffee machine, I'm enjoying it. Oh, it's so good. Fancy. So good. I got this like copper cup. I think this is for like Moscow mules when I'm drinking coffee out of it. Something to think about. You baristas out there, maybe mix it up if you're trying to get market share and you're having a hard time in your neighborhood. Do you guys hear like Fallen Leaf has these gorgeous copper cups? Oh my god, it just feels like it's so good. I feel like I'm in my own little cabin in the woods, and I don't know, just like any second if I go outside I could be raped, but when I'm inside my cabin with my copper cup, I'm safe. I can read as much Judith Butler as I want. I don't know, something. This is nice. So Terry McAuliffe lost the congressional race in Virginia to Glenn Youngkin, this financier guy who's Republican, obviously. And Terry had mentioned last year and a half, basically, about how parents have no business telling the school board what their kids should learn in school, which I don't think is the best thing in the world. I understand there's fear, given that kids are coming back from school saying, "Hey, Mom, did you know that you're racist and that, like, we should hate each other because we are white and like we're the cause of all the world's problems?" Like, if their kids are coming back home from school and going like, "Ich bin ein Ausländer," that's just like, I am a foreigner in German. I don't know a lot of like German Reich language, but if your kid came back home and said, "You know what my favorite book is, Mom? Mein Kampf," like that would be like a problem. But because it's in the phrase of progress and like, anti-racism rhetoric, critical race theory, which has no real definition, that's why you can't really argue against it. People constantly say, "Oh, well, that's critical race theory." No, it's not. So if they say something that you think is critical race theory, but it's just racist or like anti-white or very like white guilt, that they can say, "Oh, it's not critical race theory, therefore you can't argue against them," which I think is fucking nuts. These little Nazis coming home would be the same thing. It's like, I don't really want my kid. My kid just said Tower 7 was knocked down by a group of Jews in some like grand conspiracy to perpetuate Jewish guilt. Like, that's fucking weird, man. Like, they just wanted like all the financiers to die and they're Jewish so they can say, "Oh, look at all the Jews that died during 9/11. How awful. Let's keep perpetuating. Oh, how sorry." And then they surreptitiously shoot the rockets into Palestine. Like, "Oh, look, we're victims. Hamas." I'm just kidding. I go a little hard. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I could see the point of parents being like, "You know what? I don't really want my son talking about Nigger Jim all the time. He keeps saying Nigger Jim this, Nigger Jim that. He's his favorite character in literature. Could you have at least told me that my kid was going to read Huckleberry Finn or whatever the fuck, Mark Twain, whatever book Mark Twain wrote, Samuel Clemens. It was a Huck Finn, the one with the Nigger Jim? I think it was. Yeah. So, yeah, just a warning to parents. Beloved by Toni Morrison talks about bestiality and incest and, all sorts of stuff like that. I think that's okay. You can tell the parent, like, hey, I don't, we're just going to show this to your kid. And I don't really want that. And they can say, okay, I think that's fair. It's really fair. So I don't know. He kind of messed up on that one. Was it Lenin that said, give me your children and you'll have socialism, or whatever? Marx says, or whatever the fuck. And no time, 4 years, 5 years time. Give me the children. Give me the children. That's how you get people. That's how you get people in your voting demographics, your voting constituency. You get the young idealistic people. I think George Dutton, the Democratic fundraiser and consultant in the 1970s, told the Democratic Party at the 1968 Democratic Convention to like move away from the blue-collar worker and go after the flower child. That the voting bloc demographic of all these baby boomers that were like young and idealistic was far stronger and would grow, and to push this kind of like progressive ideology starting way back then, in summation, would be a much better tactic. And so it's been perpetuating forever, from through the 1980s and the intelligentsia through schools, and the perpetuation of all this like postmodernist rhetoric that is starting to manifest itself into reality through policy. And I think it really started when social media became super popular around 2014. Took a long enough. Like, we've seen this happen, progressive stuff in the 2000s and the early 90s. Fades. Christopher Hitchens has like kind of mocked some of this nonsense in the past. People over time have come out against it that are free thinkers, saying this is absolutely ludicrous. Jordan Peterson, the same, equity versus equality of opportunity, like quality of outcome isn't necessarily ideal. You're basically, you're rigging the results, give people opportunity and let the chips fall where they may. But manipulating kids into feeling guilty and, that type of that type of shit's weird. Or like some sort of subjective version of history. That's weird. Or something perversely, overtly sexualized for kids. That might be a little weird.